So this story broke a few days ago. I'm not sure how many people are actually following this story, but there's a bunch of videos that are being posted all over Twitter right now. Undercover investigation videos showing Pornhub employees admitting on camera that they heavily promote tranny porn so that they can turn kids gay. That's pretty much verbatim exactly what these people say in these undercover investigation videos. So we're going to go through this. We're going to react to this. We're going to watch this. Also, another question, a lot of people are asking on Twitter, why does a rabbi own Pornhub? Why? Imagine like a Catholic priest owning a company. Like, think about this. Why does a rabbi own Pornhub? And why are they pushing tranny porn to, in their words, turn kids gay? So we'll talk about this today. We'll go through that. We'll react to that undercover investigation vid. I also want to cover, there's a new Elon tweet that came out where he calls out Bob Iger again. There was an article from CNBC that talked about how Facebook and Instagram are enabling child sex abuse and child trafficking. And he quote tweeted this and he said, hey, Bob Iger, why are there no advertiser boycotts against these companies? Well, the answer is because they love that content. They love that sort of thing. That is like encouraged at their company. In fact, we have a video that we're going to play for you guys today from a Disney employee that says that she is totally out in the open with her gay agenda. She's trying to insert gay things in all of the children's programming and all of the children's cartoon that they can at Disney. So they love that sort of stuff. Of course, they're not going to do an advertiser boycott on Facebook and Instagram for doing that, for pushing that stuff, because they love that stuff. Now, if you tell the truth about immigration or talk about Zionist power, now that's an issue. Now, we definitely have to do an advertiser boycott when it comes to that. So, well, specifically like the Zionist power thing, because everything else is seems to be okay. So we'll talk about that today. Before we do, I just want to thank this video sponsor. This video has been kindly sponsored by Goldco. And as you know, the economy is a disaster. We're heading for a train wreck. Your money is sitting in the bank right now. It's losing value. Within the next 5 years, you're going to lose about 50% of the value of your money. So that's why I partnered with a great company called Goldco so that you can diversify your investments and savings before it's too late. You can invest in a gold IRA. You can invest in a silver IRA. Fill out these 4 questions, goldco.com/veracity. Link is in the description below. Get your free gold kit in the mail. Take this first step. It helps the show tremendously. Links are in the description below, goldco.com/veracity. Qualified callers are going to get up to $10,000 in free silver, so make sure to check it out. All right, so this is from CNBC. Facebook and Instagram content enabled child sex abuse, trafficking, New Mexico lawsuit. This is according to a lawsuit from New Mexico, and Elon Musk asks, why no advertiser boycott, Bob Iger? And you can see this article here. Now, again, the answer is because people like Bob Iger, who's on film talking about this with his Disney employees, want this sort of material spread. It's the same reason, we're going to go over this here next, why Pornhub just admitted they push trans content to convert straight men and to convert straight boys, and they get them young. They specifically talk about like 11 and 12-year-olds. And, there's a reason why there's no age verification on these platforms at all. Zero. None. I mean, you have to upload an ID. You have to upload a picture of an ID for basically everything nowadays. And except for porn sites. Interesting, kind of interesting how that works. So we're gonna watch this clip here. This is a Disney employee, and I think a lot of you guys have probably seen this before, but take a look at this.
Things like, they won't let you show this at a Disney show. And I'm like, okay. So I was a little sus when I started. But then my experience was bafflingly the opposite of what I had heard. On my little pocket of Proud Family Disney TVA, the showrunners were super welcoming, Meredith Roberts, and our leadership over there has been so welcoming to my not at all secret gay agenda. And so I feel like I felt like it was, maybe it was that way in the past, but I guess something must have happened in the last, they are turning it around, they're going hard. And then all that momentum that I felt, that sense of, I don't have to be afraid to let's have these two characters kiss. Let's in the background. I was just wherever I could, just basically adding queerness to if you see anything queer in the show, I'm proud of them. But I just was no one would stop me, and no one was trying to stop me.
There it is. There it is. And we have a lot to say about that for sure. I do want to touch on this whole Elon Musk free speech. He just brought back Alex Jones. For those who don't know, Alex Jones is now allowed back on Twitter, and there was this big space about this. Elon Musk was in this space, and Andrew Tate was in this space, and Alex Jones was in this space, and there were a lot of speakers that came up that were granted speakership in this space. And every time that they would try to ask about other people that are still banned, who did not break any laws, like Nick Fuentes, for instance, Jared Taylor, Tommy Sotomayor, Andrew Anglin, so many people who are still banned from the platform, every time someone would try to ask about this, they would ban them. They would kick them from their role as speaker in the space. There's a lot of like text messages going around on Twitter right now showing that this was specifically the reason why these people weren't allowed back into the space or allowed to speak in the space again. And it was a space specifically about free speech, and you weren't allowed to ask that. You also weren't allowed to talk about the biggest topic in the news right now, which is Israel and Gaza, which is very strange. And so the question then becomes, like, how can we have a free speech platform if there are dozens of people who are still completely banned from the platform for not breaking any laws just because of who they are, because of what the ADL and the SPLC calls them, and then you can't even ask about them. You get kicked from a space on X about free speech for simply asking about those people, and then you can't talk about the biggest story in news right now. It's, Alex Jones gets on, and I guess this is a topic for another day, but I just wanted to touch on this here. And so we're going to move on. We're going to talk about I want to talk about this this video specifically from Disney. So we posted this up there, and someone responded. I just want to pull this up here. Let's see. Okay. So they say, if you can be converted by trans content, you were already gay, honey. So this is completely wrong, and we responded to this here. Let me see what we could pull up. Or did we respond, or did we quote tweet this? I think we may have quote tweeted this. Let's see. Okay, here it is. So this is not true. The entire country was programmed to accept homosexuality in just a decade through pro-gay content being pushed in media, which is true. Media is powerful. Media completely changes entire cultures easily, especially when young people are the target. Look up the Will and Grace effect. And then we post a clip from the speech that we gave not too long ago where we talk about this. So think about this. If you can change the entire opinion of the opinion of the entire country on a single subject just by simply slowly inserting certain things into their programming. There's a reason why it's called programming, television programming, which then in turn helps to redirect the culture in a certain way. Then imagine what you can do, especially when they're super, super, super young. There's a reason why there's been a 1,700% increase in gay content in children's programming, especially coming from some companies like Disney. There's a reason for that. It's because they know that these are the most impressionable people. And then think about like being addicted to that. Think about how addictive pornography is. And then think about being addicted to it when you're 11 years old or 12 years old. And think about how the human mind works. You know, the human mind, if you get, like, let's say you get an endorphin rush from something. Let's say you are, and I talked about this on my live stream the other day. Let's say you get an endorphin rush from going down a small hill on a snowboard, right? Some small hill in your backyard, you get an endorphin rush. Then you take it to a little bit bigger of a hill, right? And then you go down that 100 times and you get bored. And then you're like, well, I need an even bigger hill. I need a mountain. And you go down that 100 times and you get bored of that. That's the way the human mind works. Pretty soon you're going to be doing like that Red Bull commercial that just came out where there's this guy that's like water skiing on a pool, and then he water skis off a ramp, and the pool is, you find out after watching the video, the pool is actually on like a high-rise building, and then he jumps off the pool and he parachutes. So that's how the human mind works. Now, multiply that times 1,000,000 when you're a very, very, very young person, like an 11 and a 12-year-old. Think about how effed up your mind is going to be after that. And there's a reason why they do these things. I'm going to play this clip here. This is from my speech. You can find this whole speech on Rumble. Take a look at this now.
There's something called the Will and Grace effect. Here's what the mainstream news says about Will and Grace. Now, they say it's not an agenda. It says, by bringing two charismatic gay men to audiences, Will and Grace was a force for political change and a prime example of the power of television to shape people's opinions and open their minds to new ideas. This is a quote from the Will and Grace star. Quote, we knew when we were doing Will and Grace that we were doing something important that was having social effect and political effect. Entertainment and media can be powerful tools in shaping the public's opinion by introducing unfamiliar ideas. Okay, we didn't just as a people all of a sudden become, when going back to 2015 when even Barack Obama opposed gay marriage, we didn't all of a sudden as a people become pro-gay marriage, pro-abortion, pro-kids chopping off their breast and binding their breasts, pro whatever the liberal bumper sticker phrase is, Black Lives Matter. We didn't all of a sudden become that. The media made us that way. Because when you look in countries where they don't have this in their media, where they literally ban this from their media, the populations of those countries have a completely diametrically opposed idea of these social issues.
There it is. Like, again, we've been over it on the show. You look to Russia, you look to China, you look to certain countries, and you see, how just go back to 2015. Go back to 2015. It wasn't that long ago, and look at polling. Go back, and then you can go back even further than that. Look at polling on other issues, not just on the gay thing, but on many other issues, and you can see how people have changed. And they understand. These people get paid a lot of money to be really good at selling you an idea at the click of a button. And so this is how this works. And so let's go ahead and get right to this this undercover investigation. So we say here, these companies should be forced to have age verification where you have to upload your ID just like you have to do when you purchase it at a store or go into a club. They don't have this because they want children addicted, which is absolutely true. So we're going to watch a little bit of this here. Before we do, I just want to thank another one of this video's sponsors, Purge Suddenly, from the makers of Died Suddenly, the documentary that I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched about the vaccine. Purge Suddenly, this is an all-natural cleanse. If you haven't done a cleanse before, I highly recommend it. I do one at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. It makes you feel healthier. It makes you feel more energetic, and this lasts for months. And I'm going to borrow some words here from Dr. Lee Merritt. She says cancer, acne, rosacea, MS, and rheumatoid arthritis, 4 different diseases in 4 different areas of medicine. What if they can all be treated with parasite medication? And this turns out to be true for these diseases. So you can prevent some very serious diseases. You can feel better. You can feel healthier. This is all natural. We're talking about stuff like wormwood, black walnut. This is all natural, non-GMO stuff. Nothing harmful. So make sure to check it out, purgesuddenly.com. Links are in the description below. All right, so let's get to this undercover investigation here, and let's watch this.
Not much. Probably not much, yeah.
How easy is it for like an underage person to view the site?
Just go to the site.
Let's say you're 12 years old, you're still figuring out your sexuality, maybe even your gender. Wouldn't it be helpful to see, not a celebration, but just like maybe a normalization of something that you think is what you want,
A normalization. There's that key word, to normalize. So if you're starting to wonder why certain things have become normalized in society, this is the reason. It's through media. It's through media that cultures are shaped, that cultures are molded into what these people want them to be. And I don't mean to be controversial. I actually kind of like to be controversial sometimes. As you guys know, we've been attacked and banned and canceled for telling the truth. But I do want to point, there's an article that we have up on our website. And not a lot of people are talking about this. And I'm going to point you to this article. And, if you've got the balls, you can share this article with other people. Now, growing up, we heard about all of these books that the Nazis burned, right? We heard about how they burned down facilities and burned down buildings and burned all sorts of books, and you're a Nazi book burner if you want to get rid of these gay books in libraries and in schools. And by the way, Randy Weingarten, the head of the biggest teachers union in the country, is married to a lesbian and is married to a rabbi. Again, very odd that a rabbi also owns Pornhub. Anyway, that's besides the point. But if you want to get rid of books like Gender Queer, then you're a Nazi book burner. What sort of books did the Nazis burn exactly? Let's take a look at the history that they don't want you to know, and that's in this article. And they were all books like this. There's a lot of books like this. And the places that they burned down, it was the Sexual Science Center, headed by Dr. Magnus Hirschfeld, who was a Jewish scientist in Germany before the rise of the Nazis, who he did the first trans surgery there, the first ever in history trans surgery there. So, some little bit of information that they don't want you to know, a little bit of information that, gets you banned from certain social media platforms. Let's get back to this here.
It helps a lot. Let's say I was 12 and I saw like trans angels, I saw all these different sites. It would help me figure out what I do like and what I don't like.
To
try to push stuff that's less accepted. Like putting a trans male or a trans female in a scene, you wouldn't get that on a normal mainstream site. So test it out. See if you get a bigger audience with it. See if you can convert somebody, right? Like maybe somebody who's never looked for anything like that might find it interesting and click on it. Same thing for bi stuff, same thing for gay.
If you've seen our previous Undercover releases, you may be familiar with Mike Farley, the current Pornhub product manager who became one.
See if you can convert somebody like that. That's what he said. See if you can convert somebody like that. You know, and there's all sorts of videos out there. I think there's like 3 or 4 different segments. I don't think we have to watch the whole 7-8 minute video there. I think you guys get the point at this point. But, you know, and then you couple that not only on the conversion side of things, but then you couple that with the fact that the way that this is why you should stay away from this stuff totally, completely, 100%. Just have the willpower, build up the willpower to be able to do this, because the way that the human mind works, just like with drugs, right? You have to go to harder and harder and harder drugs to get that same endorphin rush. We talked about the analogy with the water skiing and snowboarding. And it's the same thing with this, except a million times worse. And when you look at what it actually does to the brain, too, scientists have looked into this, and it actually damages the brain in a way that's worse than heroin does, than people who are addicted to heroin. So we're talking about real, actual physical effects, and then of course you have the social and emotional effects that are, you know, what they're aiming for. So we have to return to morality, and I've talked about this before, and I talk about this on Twitter, and I talk about this on Telegram. We have to return to a point where we are regulating morality in this country, and about half the states still are controlled by Republican state legislatures, and they have the power to, you know, you look at the books that are written, all the school books that are written, they're written by the top 2 publishers. They're the same books that are passed out in schools in blue states. Why? Why is this the way that it is? Why don't we completely do away with that entire curriculum, do away with all of those books, have our own books, and we make public schools in the states that Republicans control pro-God, pro-Christianity. We say, fuck you to the people who are saying that we have to have a separation between church and state, because the only reason why they fought for this in the 1960s, during the sexual revolution, by the way, and when Vatican II happened, the only reason why they're fighting for this, why they fought so hard for this, is to completely destroy the Christian understanding of morality. It's the same reason why Roe v. Wade happened. And so when Republicans don't balk, when Republicans don't cede moral ground on things, you can see the wins that they get. Roe v. Wade is a perfect example. And so, you know, because of the police powers of the 10th Amendment, Republicans have the power to do these things, but they don't. And so it's up to you to reach out to your local legislators and your Republican state legislatures and ask them to do these things. They can very easily block these porn sites in red states. They can very easily do this. There can be lost. There's all sorts of things that they can do, but they haven't done it. And they need to do it. And so that's what we have today on this. Make sure to check out the links in the description below. Go to our flow code. It is flowcode.com/page/Vincent James. There's a bunch of ways you can support the show. We've got Subscribe Stars the best way. $2 a month, $5 a month. You get access to all the content up there. We've got cryptocurrency. There's a bunch of links for different cryptos. We've got a Monero wallet, Bitcoin, and so forth. We've got the merch page. We've got all sorts of shirts up there and hats, and we've got preparewithvincent.com, My Patriot Supply, 25-year shelf life dry food supply. We've got all our socials up there. We've got the P.O. Box. The show is under attack because we have told the truth for so long, and we need your support in order for the show to survive. Since we've been banned from every mainstream platform that exists, we need your support for the show to survive. You can support by subscribing to my Subscribe Star for $5 a month to get access to exclusive content and more at other tiers. You can also support by using cryptocurrency, our P.O. Box, and as always, going to preparewithvincent.com or waterwithvincent.com to get your 25-year shelf life dry food supply or water filter systems. Check out dailyveracity.com/support to find all the links. It helps the show tremendously.